Mohammed, this mic, okay.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Haruna Dederi, representing RI Rogo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, Honorable colleagues, I'm from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, I have a petition brought forward by the law firm of Equity Chambers. It is against a protest against the sale by Bureau of Public Enterprises of 100% shares in Nikon Noga Hilton Hotel Abuja. And the law firm brought in the petition on behalf of Noga SA Geneve, being a holding company with 25% share capital in Nikon Noga Hilton Hotels Abuja. It has been signed by LM Aloze, a senior advocate of Nigeria. The second one, sir, is a petition signed by Mr. Mike Adie, requesting for the intervention of this Honorable House in respect of his plight, where he is studying at Sheffield University. It has been duly endorsed, and I seek your leave, Mr. Speaker, to lay the petitions.
Okay, but honestly, let me ask you, I'm really curious, how come every single day you have either one or two petitions? Every single day? I don't understand.
So, yes, sir. In the first place, sir, I am a very active member of the Public Petitions Committee, number one. Number two, normally because of the confidence that people in the country have in your leadership as the Speaker of this House, they prefer coming to lay their complaints before the Public Petitions Committee.
Yeah, but why are they always coming through you?
Sir?
But why are they always coming through you?
Sometimes, sir, sometimes the petitions are directed to you, sir, with all due respect, and you will accordingly minute to the Public Petitions Committee that it should be given necessary treatment. And therefore, the committee will have to route the petition through the normal process by first laying it before the House before it is duly directed to the Public Petitions Committee.
Yes, I don't mean to, you are doing such a good job with it. I'm just wondering, and that's wonderful. Keep bringing them.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, you should also remember that he's a legal practitioner. Maybe this is legal practice on the floor. Of course, and that is also...
Leader of the House, you said something to me in the office today. You made a promise in front of everybody that you'll be gentle and quiet today. Please lay your petition.
I remain guided, sir.
Any other petition? So we move on. Oh, you have a petition? Honorable Olarewaju.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Ibrahim Kunle Olarewaju.
Approach the leader.
The Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker, I'm privileged to come from Ekiti State. Mr. Speaker, I have a petition from one of my constituents. It's about his dismissal from Nigerian police. The constituent is praying your leadership and this entire House to please intervene on his behalf. May I therefore seek your permission to lay the said petition.
Please lay your petition. All petitions are hereby referred to the Committee on Public Petitions. Honorable colleagues, as a reminder, the APC caucus will be meeting Senator Tinubu today, but the venue has since changed. It will be in room 0.28. 0.28. So pass that message on. He'll be coming to us in our own turf at 0.28. And leader, also the meeting with Senator Rochas Okorocha, when is it? Yes, JJ. Put on your mic. What's wrong with this?
Thank you very much. My name is Jim Abdurrahim Alajide. I represent Lagos Mainland Federal Constituency. I've just heard you now. The APC caucus will be meeting with Senator Tinubu. Which of the Tinubu? Is it Senator Mrs. or Ashiwaju Tinubu? Which one, sir?
The first thing I said was that I announced it as a reminder. So everybody that was here yesterday and the day before knows the one we're talking about, because I said reminder. And that would be mischievous. I think everybody knows which.
Then if you don't know that, you're on your own. If you don't know that, then you're on your own.
We'll take one of the party aspirants.
Okay.
Perhaps Almakura, possibly.
Yeah.
Let's do Almakura because he came first. Then maybe when we come back on Monday or Tuesday.
But make sure we announce. Is Honorable Aliu here, Sokoto? He has a motion of urgent public importance. He's not here. Honorable Sada, sorry.
Mr. Speaker, my name is Sada Soli Jibia, representing Jibia Kaita Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Katsina State. Mr. Speaker, I'm coming on Order 8, Rule 4, matter of urgent public importance, and also urging this House to suspend Order 8, Rule 4.3 to enable it to debate the matter forthwith. Mr. Speaker, urgent need for the reinstatement of combined security personnel at Shimfida Town in Jibia local government area of Katsina State. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Point of order.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohammed Tahir Mongono. I represent Marco Mongono, Ganze Federal Constituency, Borno State. Mr. Speaker, the rules that we have made is meant to be obeyed, but not in breach. And we willingly, on our own, so much decided to regulate ourselves. So, as leaders and lawmakers, it is always good to adhere strictly to the provisions of our rules, particularly Order 9, Rule 13, which is clear and unambiguous. I was compelled to invoke that order yesterday, and today also I will be compelled to remind our members to refresh their memory, human memory being momentary, that Order 9, Rule 13 is not in our rules book for fancy. it is meant to be obeyed, and therefore the strict application and literal interpretation of that provision is in our best interest in order to bring sanity to the conduct of the proceedings of the House, and specifically for the Speaker not to be distracted in the conduct of the proceedings of the House. Please, members, obey that order. I don't want to be always standing off to invoke that order. Please.
Maybe you may want to read it again.
No member other than a principal officer or the chairman committee on rules and business, unless invited by the speaker. The operative word here is unless invited by the speaker, shall approach the speaker when the house is in session. But on matters requiring urgent attention of the speaker, it may be communicated through the chief whip. So the operative words here are two. Unless it requires urgent attention of the speaker. Even if it requires urgent attention of the speaker, it should be communicated through the chief whip. So that clearly shows that I don't even have discretion to come and give permission to a member to approach the chair. If the matter is urgent, it has to be communicated through me to the speaker. I don't even have the discretion to give permission to a member to approach the speaker. It is only the speaker that can invite a member to approach him in chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Whip. Point of order sustained.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I think for the records, do we now take the reading of the Chief Whip as first reading or second reading of this same order he has continuously invoked? Is it first reading or second reading? Because he has continuously invoked this order, and it's like members.
Leader, can you read the House rules on relevance? The point is that what you just said now is not relevant to the point of order. You made a promise that today you'll be quiet, and
I remain guided once more.
We're in trouble today. So we're in trouble today, Abi Leader. So point of order sustained. Honorable Danjuma, did you second? You seconded, right? Okay, so please second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Honorable Danjuma Shidi. I represent Ukari for constituency. I rise to second this very important motion, implemented by my brother, Sada Sole. Thank you.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Sada, please move your motion.
Mr. Speaker, urgent need for reinstatement of combined security personnel at Shimfiɗa Town in Jibe local government area of Katsina State. The House notes that on March 10th, 2022, security personnel who were stationed at Shimfiɗa Town in Jibe local government area of Katsina
Honorable
State
Salame, please approach the chair.
were suddenly ordered to withdraw from the town. Also note that the combined security personnel of the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Police Force, and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps had been stationed to protect Shimfiɗa Town for about 7 years. Concerned that after the abrupt withdrawal of the personnel from Shimfiɗa, the people had to trek for nearly 30 kilometers to find safety in the neighboring Jibia town. Worried that in the course of fleeing for safety, about 10 people died from exhaustion, while numerous others suffered various ailments due to exposure to unfavorable weather conditions and hunger. Also worried that neither the Katsina State government, Jibia local government area, nor the people of Shimfida were in any way notified or consulted on the withdrawal of the security personnel from the town. Disturbed that the absence of the security personnel in Shimfida has caused the people to completely desert their town, leaving the elderly and the weak to suffer attacks, kidnappings, and the worst part of it, rape. Also disturbed that this poor use of discretion by the person who ordered the withdrawal of this security personnel resulted to a greater part of the town being destroyed, with properties looted and socio-economic activities completely grounded, while the people are suffering untold hardships at internally displaced camps at Jibia town. Resolved to urge the Nigerian Army, the Nigeria Police Force, and the Nigeria Security Civil Defense Corps to deploy adequate security personnel to Shimfida town in Jibia local government area. 2, also urge the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and the National Emergency Management Agency to urgently provide relief materials to the displaced people at Jibia town. Mandate the Committee of Army, Police Affairs, Interior and Emergency and Disaster Preparedness to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable John.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, John J. is my name. I am from Boko Taka Federal Constituency of Benue State. I rise to second the motion assembly moved by Right Honorable Sada Soli. I so second.
Honorable Sadat, just 1 minute. Just add a little flesh.
Mr. Speaker, the preposterous thing related to this issue was the withdrawal of these security men that had been in that town. This is a town that has a population of nearly 10,000 people, and it is within the theater of this banditry. But God's willing, for the last 8-10 years, there was never an attack because the security personnel were there protecting these people. But the most preposterous thing is, Mr. Speaker, over a night, no consultation with the state government, no consultation with the local government, neither the people of Shimfida were consulted that these security men were being withdrawn, only to see them being withdrawn without any notice. So I consider this a very, very poor use of discretion on the part of the person who ordered the withdrawal of these people. I think, Mr. Speaker, not that our security men have not done very well. They have done very well. They are doing very well. We know they are sacrificing their life. But this kind of discretionary use of authority without proper consideration of the people that are involved, I think it is inimical to the collective security of the society, and it does not tally with the strategic tactical consideration of protecting people. I think that's our concern. And now you can see, as a result of this poor use of discretion, about 10 people died. And then you go now and see the pitiful condition these people are living in Jibia, the women, the children, the young and old, Mr. Speaker. They occupy a primary school. Then the school activities of that of the kids going to that primary school had stopped, and the town, the influx of nearly 7,000, 5,000 people I think it is a great source of concern, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's your prayer?
Mr. Speaker, my prayer is urging the security personnel, particularly the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Police, and the civil defense that were stationed for these longer years in that place to reinstate them back so that the people, we can arrange the people to go back to their place of livelihood. And also urging the humanitarian ministry and the NEMA to at least help the people with some relief material so that it can have some succor and how they live and continue to live until when they get back to their place. Mr. Speaker, every day we cook 10 bags of rice. 10 bags of rice apart from other source of food stuff. Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Speaker.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Zondo, I thought yours was on a motion on no. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. I rise this morning under Order 8, Rule 4, matter of urgent public importance, to bring a motion on the urgent need to intervene and save the job of over 900 medical officers from losing their job on the abrupt termination of a PPP concession agreement of Gariki General Hospital and involving the health conditions of so many people. A concession that was supposed to take 3 years to terminate is meant to terminate just in 30 days with a lot of medical records and all of that. I rise this morning to bring this motion of urgent public importance. I so move.
Is seconder.
No, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable JJ, you want to second?
No. I've just listened to him, sir. My name is Jim Abdurrahim Alajide. It's not about life and death. This is about labor issue. It shouldn't.
It's not about life and death. It's a what issue?
It's a labor issue.
Labor, okay.
Labor-related issue. It shouldn't have come under Order 8, Rule 4. It's not urgent. It's not. It's not urgent. During the matter of urgent public importance, 8.4, 1 and 2, it should be about life and death. This is about labor-related matter.
So it's a matter that would have come on notice. Honorable Zodo.
Thank you once again, Right Honorable Speaker. As rightly stated, it involves labor and also lives. Because when you terminate a concession, just 30 days, some patients are on admission, some have medical records there, some are being treated on terminal illnesses. So when you terminate a concession within 30 days, how do you handle these patients? How do you transfer their medical records and those on terminal illnesses? How do you handle such matters? If proper attention is not taken, a termination letter was served on the 1st of March, and they are expected to evacuate their premises by 1st of April. As we speak today is the 16th day of April. We have less than 2 weeks upon which to act. So this has to do with lives, in as much as labor is also involved. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I think we've repeated this over and over again on the floor, that the meaning of urgent public importance, the chairman business is not here, is that if it's not taken right here and now, there's going to be a major problem. So the question I will ask is this: if we had taken this and even accelerated it and taken this on Tuesday, today is Wednesday, if we had taken it on Tuesday, would it have made a difference? Since you're saying 30 days is what remains, would it have made a difference? Tuesday would have been okay on notice, right? Honorable Zodo.
It will only be 7 days left by then, Your Excellency, sir.
Yeah.
Just 7 days left after tomorrow. We have a week. And
7 as opposed to 12 days.
This is a procedural issue as well. So how can we use 1 week to solve the issue of termination of a concession that have lasted for 15 years?
It looks like every matter is now urgent public importance. Yes.
Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleague, my name is Ahmed Idris. I represent Wasai, Federal Constituency, Plateau State. Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I think just like the Chief Whip drew our attention to our conduct in terms of how we always go to bog the presiding officer, which has a lot of effect in terms of his own judgment. And we have seen things happening. I was just sharing with my brother, sir, over what happened last week on a ruling that was done on a matter that was brought regarding First Mark. With the best of intention, but those who are mischievous went out to read the ruling differently. It's the same vein, sir. These rules are meant for us to obey. When things are specified as part of our rules, I'm a labor activist. I believe in that institution very well, but I believe he said the letter for termination was issued about 1st of March. From 1st of March to this moment, it took the people to bring the motion to matter to their attention to bring before the parliament 16 days. And then you want us now to just suspend our and throw our roles to it doesn't make sense. I want to beg that he should just be kind enough to appreciate the position of the rules and to step down and allow us progress so that we can take this matter by a leave, if you agree. Either tomorrow, put it on notice, or make it Tuesday. That's much better, sir. It's good we respect our rules, it's good we obey our rules. Thank you, sir. This is my submission, sir.
All right, honorable colleagues, this is something that we have repeated over and over and over again. But as the presiding officer, I keep getting matters that are clearly do not meet the definition of urgent public importance. And I try to explain to members, but members are eager to represent their constituency, even though these matters could have been brought on notice. It has not come to a point where hardly do you even have motions on notice anymore. Everything is urgent public importance. And that is a breach of our rules, clear breach. And in fact, I remember when you told me this morning, first glance, I told you, I said, this is not a matter of urgent public importance. And now you see that even several members are taking cognizance of that. Apart from the fact that we are only allowed 2 per day in our rules. I know Honorable Aliu, I don't know what happened to him. I had already slated 2 matters, Honorable Aliu and Honorable Sada Soli. So sometimes people come to me even that same day and say they have a matter of urgent public importance. Well, we already have so many slated. We can concede to you and bring it tomorrow. Even motions of urgent public importance, by the way, are supposed to be taken the next day. Not even on the same day. A real motion of urgent public importance is brought up today, and then by the leave of the House is taken tomorrow. But we don't follow that. So we'll concede and have you put it on notice, bring it up tomorrow once it's on the other paper, or Tuesday, depending on what we have on the other paper. So it's urgent, but it's not urgent enough by our definition. So please take it to the chairman business and rules, and hopefully we'll be able to take it tomorrow or latest Tuesday. Thanks. Honorable members, the first business of the day is presentation of 8 bills, and I invite the clerk to read the short titles. Point of order, honorables. Wearing your title. Chief Whip, is it naked today? Solomon Bob. It's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Solomon Bob. I'm from River State. Mr. Speaker, my point of order is, I think you anticipated me. Is it related to what happened yesterday? It's not working? Can you hear me now? Thank you, Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues. I said you probably well anticipated me because my point of order is respect to what happened yesterday. Yesterday, the chief whip name checked me when I came into the chambers and said I wasn't, formally dressed or properly dressed. Although he has privately met me to say that it was wrong, but I checked the rules after I left. There's nowhere in our rules where formal dressing is defined. So if you leave it to the discretion.
There's nowhere in our rules where what?
Formal dressing is defined. Formal dressing is not defined.
Where formal dressing is defined.
Not defined.
No.
It's not defined. I've checked Order 9, Rule 4, Paragraph 12. All it says is that no member, every member shall come into the plenary or to the floor formally dressed. I've checked the section on definition of the words in the rule book. Nothing speaks to definition or description or prescription of what formal dressing is. The way I was dressed yesterday, if we have to subject the meaning to individual presumption, I was just like that to U.S. Congress. I've seen presidents address nations dressed in the blazer without a tie. As a matter of fact, I was more formally dressed than most members here yesterday. So it cost me utter embarrassment and consternation. He used the word, a very prudent expression, naked. As I lectured yesterday, people were calling me, Honorable, where you were naked today in Parliament? I said I wasn't naked. This morning, I still get a reference to that expression. So he has met me privately, but I want to bring to the attention of this House on record that I was not, by the definition of our rules, informally or improperly dressed. That was a very expensive blazer, leader. So I know you told me you were wrong, but I want you to at least say it here. I apologize to me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, thank you. I think Honorable Solomon is exploring a little ambiguity or the fact that it was not clearly defined. But even without clear definition, in ordinary business of any day and anywhere, formal dress is formal dress and it includes a tie. If you are asked to come for dinner for an occasion or a swearing and the invitation says dress code formal, you are not expected to wear a t-shirt and wear a jacket and say because you have a jacket you are formal. And if you heard presidents address nations like you said now, just wearing a jacket without a tie, I can say that they're not formally dressed. They're properly dressed, but not formally dressed, and they don't have rules that requires formal dressing. Those presidents don't have rules in their books or in their laws, but we do. And to remove whatever little ambiguity there is, at least we now know that formal dressing includes wearing a tie. He should apologize to you for pointing out the rules. For pointing out the rules of the House?
No, he misled the House, basically.
The chief whip misled the House?
He misled the House.
So if the chief whip misled the House and I sustain this point of order, then I have misled the House too.
No. That's my suggestion.
Okay, cheers.
Okay, point well taken.
Your Excellency, sir, in Parliament, my name is Ahmed Idris. I represent Waseferi constituency. In Parliament, there are moments for humor and cracking of jokes. But I think the greater part of our days should be for serious business. And my brother knows very well the meaning of formal. If he's going for a business discussion, and I will not expect him to go to any office wearing a suit where he's expecting to be dignified without a tie. He knows it will impair in terms of his own outlook, in terms of the respect he will get accorded. When he comes out, at times people even go to borrow or loan vehicles so that they will go in a very corporate and formal manner. I believe he knows the meaning of that. And for him to ask the chief to apologize for pointing out, he has forgotten too, he's sitting on a very revered seat. Only a privileged person can sit on that seat, even among the minorities. And I thought he should respect the doctrine of that seat. And no, I'm not saying no, but you know you are not the minority leader. And for you to occupy that seat, I want to tell you that it comes with another form of dignity, and so you should respect that seat. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Honorable Solomon, I think without belaboring the point, I think the point has been made.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
I just want you to imagine one thing. Imagine 300 of us here, all men, 300 of us here, wearing a jacket and a shirt and no tie. How would we look? How would we look? So when you look at that holistically, you get the message that formal dressing includes ties. Yes.
So, no, Mr. Speaker, I was only trying to also draw the attention of the chair that Honorable Solomon, who is seated on that very respected seat of the minority, I have not received any formal communication as leader of this house that he was coming to sit as minority leader acting. So the chief whip, I want the chief whip to please ask him to resume his normal seat.
Can I respond? Please. Respected Joint Leader.
No, it's okay, Honorable Solomon. It's okay. Well, it's not the time for.
No, we are dealing with. Okay, yes, I saw his permission.
Nobody gave you any permission. You better.
Second business of the day is presentation of two reports of the Committee on Health Institutions. Standing in the name of Honorable Pascal Obi, Honorable Obi is invited to present the reports. I thought you. Hold on. Did you? Oh, okay. I was about to do the first business of the day when Honorable Solomon raised his point about that. Okay, so honorable members, the first business of the day is presentation of 8 bills, and I invite the clerk to read their short titles.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Federal University of Agriculture, Enugu State Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Federal Polytechnic Sabon Birni Gobir, Sokoto State Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Federal Medical Center, ISA, Sokoto State Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Federal College of Education Technical, Kwal, Plateau State Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Federal Medical Center, Kinsaloy, Plateau State Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. Joint Admission and Matriculation Board Act Amendment Bill 2022, first reading. Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery, Ado Ekiti State Establishment Bill 2022, first reading. National Rice Production, Processing and Research Institute, Igbemo Ekiti State Establishment Bill 2022, first reading.
The second business of the day is presentation of 2 reports of the Committee on Health Institutions. Standing in the name of Honorable Pascal Obi, Honorable Obi is invited to present the reports.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my noble colleagues. Mr. Speaker, I'm Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigozie Obi. I represent the very great and amiable people of Idata North, Idata South Federal Constituency. I'm from Imo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to move that the House do receive the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish the National Hospital Port Harcourt in Rivers State and to provide for the composition, administration, and functions of the Management Board and for related matters, HB 1010. I also rise to move that the House do receive the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, Ondo, in Ondo State, and for training and research in the field of medical and health sciences in Nigeria, and for related matters. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Honorable Wally, okay. Please second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, my leaders, my colleagues. I am Olu Wale, okay, Ijesha man from Ijesha North. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion as moved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Obi, please lay the report. The third business of the day is presentation of 5 reports of the Committee on Public Petitions. Standing in the name of Honorable Jerry Alagboso, Honorable Alagboso is invited to present the report. I'm not sure Honorable Jerry is here.
Honorable Jerry is not on the floor.
Yes.
I move that the report be stepped down by the chairman. Yeah, but we are not, I'm not talking about
Deputy.
He's not the deputy.
So, okay, well,
Member of the committee, we're going to submit the report with due respect, Mr. Speaker.
Interesting.
Yeah, but Mr. Olaore, you know there's a procedure. You are neither a deputy, you are neither the chairman or deputy. If you are presenting, you ought to have indicated earlier that your chairman has delegated you to stand on his behalf. You cannot just stand up and say you are presenting.
I don't know why they put you as a member.
Okay, yeah. I think for future, let the chairman always, because we don't want a situation where a chairman will not come in the future and say that that's not his report. So we have to authenticate the delegation of authority. So we'll step it down. Fourth business of the day is presentation of report of the Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream on the need to investigate the importation and distribution of adulterated premium motor spirit PMS, standing in the name of Honorable Abdullah Mahmoud Gaya. Honorable members will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Thursday, 10th February 2022. I now invite Honorable Gaya to make the presentation.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. My name is Abdullah Mahmoud Gaya, representing Gaya Ajingi Albas Federal Constituency from Kano. Mr. Speaker, I rise to submit the report of the Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream on the need to investigate the importation and distribution of adulterated premium motor spirit, PMS, into Nigeria. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Namdas, please second.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleague, my name is Abdulrazak Namdas. I represent the good people of Ganye, Jada, Tongoma, Belwa. I'm from Adama State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the report as raised by Mahmoud Gaya. I so second.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Gaya, please lay your report. The first order of the day is consolidation of two bills. Honorable members will wish to note that the bills are of the same subject matter. I now will invite the Chairman, Committee on Rules and Business, to move that the bills be consolidated.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Samfulata. I represent Borneo Agrika, son of the Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, consolidation of bills, of two bills. One, a bill for an act to establish Federal University Bukhari and to make comprehensive provision for its due management and administration and for related matters. House Bill 1719. Two, a bill for an act to establish Federal University Bukhari to make comprehensive provision for its due management and administration and for related matters. House Bill 1845. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Tolu Shadipe, please second.
I, Honorable Tolu Akonde Shadipe, representing Oluyole Federal Constituency, second the motion ably moved by my colleague.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Please lay your report. Or rather, please schedule a date for the commencement of debate. The second order of the day is the third reading of a bill for an act to amend the Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board, Azare, Borno State, and for related matters, standing in the name of the House Leader. Honorable members will recall that the House adopted the report of the Committee of the Whole on the bill on Tuesday, 8th March 2022, and therefore call on the Leader of the House to move that the bill be now read the third time. Leader of the House.
Thank you. The Right Honorable Speaker, is Sadauki Nyauri, the able Speaker of the 9th House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila. My respected colleagues, I remain Alhassan Ado Dogwa. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I represent the good people of Dogwa, Chudungwada Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues, I'm from Kano State. I rise as directed by the Honorable Speaker that a bill for an act to amend the Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board Act, Cap 01010, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for establishment of Federal Orthopedic Hospital Azare, Borno State, and for related matters, HB 1322, be read the third time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Thank you, Leader. Yes. Deputy Leader, please second.
Mr. Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, I am Comrade Peter Ohionzudia Patterson, MNI. I represent the people of Akukoedo Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. I am from Edo State. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the Leader of the House for the third reading of a bill for an act to amend the Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board Act Cap 010, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for the establishment of Federal Orthopedic Hospital Azare, Borno State, and for related matter, HB 1322. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. And I invite the clerk to read the long title.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to amend the Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board Act, Cap 010, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for establishment of Federal Orthopedic Hospital Azare, Borno State, and for related matters. Third reading.
Bill read third time and passed. Third order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Forestry, Buraningi, Bauchi State, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Abdul Kadir Saad Abdullahi. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 8th July 2021. I now invite Honorable Abdullahi to move that the bill be now read a second time.
Right Honorable Speaker, my respected colleagues, I'm Abdullahi Saad Abdul Kadir, representing Ningiwarji Federal Constituency of Bauchi State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move a motion for the second reading of a bill for a law to establish Federal College of Forestry, Bura, and for related matters. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Olodo, please second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Kukolododo of the Gadim. For the people of Ilorin, Federal Constituency, and from Kwara State, State of Harmony. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I stand to second the motion by my dear colleagues. I so second.
Thank you. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. And I invite the clerk to read the long title.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Forestry, Bura, Nigi, Bauchi State, and for related matters. Second reading.
The bill is referred to the Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions. Fourth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Rural Infrastructural Development Commission to be saddled with the responsibilities to facilitate the provisions of infrastructure for the rural areas and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Kolade Akinjo. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 8th December 2021, and I invite Honorable Akinjo to move that the bill be now read a second time.
Thank you.
Johnson Oguma, Order 9, Rule 13.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my very distinguished honorable colleagues. Kolade V. Akinjo is my name.
Elijah of the Federal Constituency. I represent from Ondo State. I rise to move that a bill for an act to establish a General Infrastructure Development Commission to be saddled with the responsibilities to facilitate the provisions of infrastructure for the rural areas and for other related matters be read for the second time. I so move. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Leke Abegude, please second.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Leke Abegude is my name. I represent the good people of Yaba Federal Constituency. I second the motion moved by the last speaker. So second.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Nigerian Rural Infrastructure Development Commission to be saddled with the responsibilities to facilitate the provisions of infrastructure for the rural areas and for related matters. Second reading.
The bill is referred to the Committee on Rural Development. Honorable colleagues, I think the bill before the last one, the third order, Honorable Ningi, your bill was to establish College of Forestry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think we made a mistake there. It says referral is to the Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions. I believe forestry is under environment.
Okay.
So I believe that to be to the, I've been corrected, that brought my attention that it's supposed to go under environment. Am I correct?
Yes.
Under environment. So clerk, please note, that's the third order of the day. It's Committee on Environment. Fifth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to provide for the statutory regulations of peacekeeping operations by members of the Nigerian Armed Forces, the Nigerian Police, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and other security organizations. And for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Oluwole Oke. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 25th July 2020, and I invite Honorable Oke to move that the bill be read a second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My leader.
Mohammed Salam. Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, with your permission, may I move? Oh, sorry, I'm Oluwole Oke once again from Ijesha North, Osun State. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, may I move that a bill for an act to provide for statutory regulations of peacekeeping operations by members of the Nigeria Armed Forces, the Nigerian Police, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and other security organizations, and for related matters be read second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Khadija, please second.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Khadija Waziri Bukar Ibrahim. I represent Damaturu Tarmua Guchibagula in the Federal Constituency of Yobe State. I rise to second that the bill be read a second time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Wale, okay, can you just maybe, just for 30 seconds, explain what this is about? Is it that the establishment of Nigerian forces and all these other Nigerian police does not have statutory provisions for their operations? Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Nigeria, sir, as a nation, is a member of several international organizations and continental bodies, United Nations, African Union, ECOWAS. Mr. Speaker, at various times, Nigeria has had calls to partake in peacekeeping operations. From records, Mr. Speaker, Nigeria to date has spent over $8 billion on peacekeeping operations. We've deployed over 1,200 soldiers to partake in peacekeeping operations. We've also deployed policemen, over 200, to partake in peacekeeping operations. Mr. Speaker, I have taken cognizance of Section 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 5, Sub 4 and 5, Section 27 and 218, vis-a-vis 305, that gave powers to the Parliament to make laws on deployment, management of our armed forces. Mr. Speaker, when Nigerians send troops abroad, it costs us money. We also earn money, refunds, from United Peacekeeping Operations. We have actually invested $8 billion. Mr. Speaker, there is nowhere in our act, our Appropriation Act, over years, where we made provision for armed forces, for policemen, to procure equipment, to train personnel to partake in peacekeeping operations. Mr. Speaker, we're all aware that as at now, we have our own internal issues, banditry, Boko Haram, and all that, that we are overstretched in terms of deployment of our men. Yet, from our foreign operations policy, we are big brother to some of our nations in Africa, even in the global community, that we have sense of commitment to deploy when the need arises. Mr. Speaker, unlike in other democracies like Japan, like Korea, like Pakistan, like Bangladesh, like India, where we have statutes that regulate deployment of both personnel and equipment to United Nations, vis-a-vis refunds to the nation. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, it has been a source of foreign earnings to India, to Bangladesh. But in our own case, Mr. Speaker, we have no such provisions. So even the proceeds, Mr. Speaker, that accrue to Nigeria, that is paid into our JP Morgan, ought to reflect in our NTF parameter vis-a-vis annual appropriation. But because there is no law regulations made by this parliament, sir, to regulate these activities, we deploy the rule of the thumb. And Mr. Speaker, this is a constitutional democracy. It's on this account, and I won't be chairman of Defense Committee in the past, sir. I saw this lacuna. It's on that basis that I researched on this bill that I brought it before the parliament. So I plead, Mr. Speaker, that this bill be allowed to sail through the second reading. I so submit, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The salient provision in this bill is financial, basically repatriation of money, where it goes, how we do it. Is that the major point, highlight of the bill?
it is one of the major points, sir. It's also a platform for us to take our youth roaming the streets, off the streets, train them, equip them, get them busy, and deploy them.
So the funds that you are talking about, where do they go now?
The funds that we have goes into peacekeeping and into JP Morgan account. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Defense in the past had to approach banks, group of banks, to raise 35 billion naira as a loan to finance equipment. Because when you deploy equipment, sir, you are entitled to the fund. But there is no way, the chairman of Army Committee is there, there is no way in our corporation that funds are allocated for this purpose. There is no place under the Nigerian police force where funds are appropriated for peacekeeping operations. And even the revenue that has accrued, that accrues to the nation.
So the funds that are used for peacekeeping, where are they from?
They are just the normal personnel that we have, the normal appropriation that you make for the Nigerian Army, that you make for defense. That's where they just manage themselves. Sir, they go through hell. And we are underutilizing that window, Mr. Speaker.
Does anybody want to speak against the bill before I put the question? Go ahead, leader. Okay, yeah. Chairman Ami. Okay, after the leader.
Sorry, Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I remain Alasan Ado Dogwa, member representing Dogwa Tumoda Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, in a way, I'm not up to speak against the bill. But as leader of the House and representative or an ambassador of the government of the day on this floor, I think I owe the government a duty and the people of Nigeria that when any point is placed misrepresented or any misrepresentation, I think I have that duty to put it in order. I agree with Right Honorable Wolewake that he's coming up with an unprecedented initiative to address some of our issues to do with foreign operations. But I disagree with you, and it has to be put on record that the government of purpose that we run here under President Muhammadu Buhari must have had a lot of provisions in different forms. They may not have to be addressed as such, but I can't take that, yes, government has no provision whatsoever in the appropriation of the land to do with peacekeeping. We have so many subheads. We have so many provisions in the finances of our Nigerian armed forces, in the police and what have you. They may not necessarily have to be addressed as funds meant to address specifically foreign missions. This is a point that I would like you to take notice of, so that at the end you may not eventually mislead the House or mislead the public in that direction. I agree with you, it's a very good bill, and I plead with honorable members to allow it pass for the second reading. And I promise you, I will be at the committee level to sort this out with you and whoever is going to take up this bill. This government is a responsible government. I believe we cannot be financing missing from missions, operation, foreign operation or whatever from nowhere. From nowhere, no. There must be provision one way or the other to address such circumstances when they arise. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm glad that we all agree that it seems it's an interesting bill that is needed. But I don't think Honorable Wole Oke was referring to this government alone. I think he said in history this never been done, including the past.
Service whiteboards and so many special votes that are provided for executive to address this kind of situation.
You have a point. Leader has a point. But it's a good
very good bill. Very good. I will be with them at the committee level to sort it out with them and with any other person.
Honorable Namdas.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Abdurazak Namdas. I represent the people of Ganye, Jada, Tongoma, Ibelo. I'm from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, I just have two issues to raise. One, I want to say that it's a very good bill, but I want to add that truly, even in our normal budgetary saga, we have some funds for operations. I may not have seen it captured in an act, but in the normal budgetary allocations, even this year, there are a certain amount of money we have allocated for peace operations. Yeah. And right now, as I speak, we have some badges. Some soldiers are some went to Gambia, and some are on their line to Sudan also. And it's those resources that is being released. But that board of information can be gotten. Secondly, and very importantly, Mr. Speaker, as important as this bill is, there is need for us to have a legislative brief before all of us here. A synopsis, so that we can be able to speak to the bill And for some of us that are even oversighting, we can actually, but I don't know whether they've shared it. I haven't got my own. So I feel that it will educate us more. Even outside this issue, I can go around and make some researches and come back with you. I feel that I should make this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. That's why I wanted him to add some flesh and debate it a little bit so that we can understand. And I asked him for the highlights, which I believe he has given us. But it would have been good, yes, to have a foreknowledge of the contents. It's a very interesting bill, and I think the leader is right, and I would want so that we're not misreported out there based on what leader and what NAMDA said, that there are provisions that are specific to peacekeeping in the budget, so that it's not reported and it will now be headlines. Peacekeeping force has no provisions in law, but to streamline it and give it statutory, whatever, I think is an interesting bill. So we'll just put the question. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Bill is referred to the long title by the clerk, please.
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. A bill for an act provide for statutory regulations of peacekeeping operations by members of the Nigerian Armed Forces, the Nigerian Police, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and other security organizations for related matters. Second reading.
Bill is referred to the Committee on Defense and Police Affairs. Singling out police affairs here, defense and police affairs, when there are other security agencies, Navy, Army, Air Force, it covers everybody. So why is it being referred to Committee on Defense and Police Affairs only?
The internal defense is the responsibility of the police usually.
Especially when it's foreign peacekeeping force. So what's police doing being singled out there? Police is internal. So I guess we'll just refer it to the committees on defense and other security agencies. Simple. The sixth order of the day is a motion on rescission of the motion calling on the federal government to save Nigerians from the recurring hardship of petroleum product scarcity, standing in the name of Honorable Hassan Fulata. Honorable Fulata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I am Abubakar Hassan Fulata. I represent Buniwa Buni Federal Constituency Speaker. I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, position on a motion calling on the federal government to save Nigerians from the current hardship of petroleum product scarcity pursuant to Order 9, Rule 16 of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives. House notes that on Tuesday, 15th March 2022, a motion on a call to save Nigerians from the recurring hardship of petroleum products scarcity was passed and adopted. Because that on Thursday, not Wednesday, on Thursday, 27th January 2022, the House set up an ad hoc committee to determine the state of refineries in the country. Aware that the ad hoc committee is currently meeting with the relevant stakeholders in the petroleum industry and conducting an investigation to find a lasting solution to the recurring petroleum scarcity in Nigeria. Cognizant of the need to allow the ad hoc committee to continue its assignment, resolves to rescind its decision on the motion calling on the federal government to save Nigerians from recurring hardship of petroleum product scarcity and add on to the work of the existing committee. I so move.
Makama, please second.
Mr. Speaker, my respected honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Ibrahim Makama Misau. I represent Misau Damba Federal Constituency. I'm from Bauchi State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion moved by Honorable Plata. I so second.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Engineer Johnson, I believe you are the one heading that ad hoc committee, and it's been almost 2 months. The motion was 27th of January. We're in almost at the end of March, so it's been almost 2 months. And I believe if I remember correctly, the timeline was or lifespan of the committee was supposed to be 6 weeks, and it's almost 8 weeks now. So what are we doing? Are you asking for an extension? Huh? Go ahead and move for your extension now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, my name is Abdulgani Johnson. I represent the good people of Oshodi Son of Federal Constituency 2. I'm from Lagos. I hereby seek the House approval to extend the ad hoc committee work by another 8 weeks, sir.
This is a very, very important assignment you've been given.
Yes, sir.
And there's going to be no extension after that. So I think you need to, I'm sure you've covered a lot of ground in the last 8 weeks.
Yes.
So another 8 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Honorable Mela.
Thank you, sir.
Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, Victor Mela Tanzaria, I represent the people of Balanga Village Federal Constituency. Is to second that the work of that committee be extended for 8 weeks. I so second.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, sir, respected colleagues, my name is Ahmed Idris. I represent Wase Federal Constituency in Plateau State. Mr. Speaker, as a testimony, I know Honorable Gani Johnson, a very hardworking legislator, always prompt in his action and then the activities. And the attendance all through, I want to attest to that. But from the body of the motion, sir, we may lose the fame, and then what we stand to gain as a country. He has had about 8 weeks. To give him more extension of 8 more weeks, sir, I think it's on the high side. The issue of this scarcity is almost fizzling out now by the queue. And I thought it's an opportunity for him to make a good name and then give a house a good name. And that's what I'm thinking, that 8 weeks is too much, sir, so that he can turn his vote as quickly as possible.
I think what the deputy guy is saying is that perhaps the 8 weeks might be on the high side. Deputy guy said you've done about 10 weeks, but I don't think he's done 10 weeks. I think he's only done about 6 weeks. Deputy Speaker and Leader, I think he's only done about 6 weeks, not 10. Abi, it was 27th of January. And we're now in February. How many weeks have you spent on this?
About 5 weeks. 5 weeks.
5?
Yes, sir.
Not 10?
No.
It's too long, the extension. So you need to wrap up in 8 weeks. You need to wrap up.
Okay.
If you have any problems or any difficulties, see in the perhaps maybe with the deputy leader, because I think he's experienced in this area. Honorable Akpata said, so that because and that brings me. Well, I'll put the question first. Those in favor of the extension, please say aye.
Thank you.
Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. The point, there's so many ad hoc committees and even standing committees that have not submitted, and particularly the ad hoc committees have more or less turned their ad hoc committee status to standing committees. We're not going to accept that. So the chairman of business and rules, because what invariably happens is that when you have an ad hoc committee, most times they're working with agencies, inviting agencies, and then the standing committee is doing the same thing, and there's a clash. So that's why your work has to be for a very short period. So if you can compile the list of outstanding reports and those that have expired, if in the next, or before we go away for Easter, if they have not submitted their report. So I'm using this opportunity to urge them to submit their report. They automatically, by our rules, extinguished. For the standing committees, the reports would have expired. The lifespan will have, but the committees remain standing. But for the ad hoc committees, if by Easter you do not turn in your report, it means you haven't been doing much. And therefore, both the motion or both the assignment and the committee would have expired, or will reassign. If the assignment is that important, we'll reassign it to another ad hoc committee or the standing committee if relevant. So that's, please, let's know that, but let's compile the list first. Thank you. The seventh order of the day is a motion on need to investigate the imposition of excessive charges on bank transactions by deposit money banks in Nigeria. Standing in the name of Honorable Sejos Ogu, Honorable Ogu is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my highly esteemed colleagues. I'm Sejos Ose Ogun. I represent Esan Northeast, Esan Southeast, and I'm from Edo State. Need to investigate the imposition of excessive charges on bank transactions on deposit money banks in Nigeria. The House notes that Section 88, Sub 1 and 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, empowers the National Assembly to conduct investigations into the activities of any authority executing or administering laws made by the National Assembly. The House is aware that most of the deposit banks in Nigeria impose excessive and non-statutory charges on varying bank transactions carried out by customers. The House is also aware that in January 2020, the bid to, among other things, stop the indiscriminate imposition of charges by deposit money banks, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, issued a guide to charges by banks, other financial institutions, and non-bank financial institutions, stating the approved bank charges to be imposed by deposit money banks. The House is concerned that despite the guide issued by the CBN, some banks still deduct outrageous amounts of money from their customers in the guise of bank charges with different descriptions. The House is worried that in most cases, the deductions are already covered by the CBN-approved monthly account maintenance fee, AMF, those amounting to double deductions. The House resolves to mandate the Committee on Banking and Currency to investigate the excessive charges on bank transactions by deposit money banks in Nigeria and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Mr. Speaker, my highly esteemed colleagues, I so move.
Honorable J.J. Jimo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jim Ibrahim Olajide. I represent Lagos Midland Federal Constituency, Lagos State. I stand to second the motion, but in seconding, I want to amend along the line. It should be an alleged, because we are investigating. We have not investigated. Thank you.
Any seconder to the amendment? Honorable Isiaka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My highly esteemed honorable members, I rise, Mr. Speaker, Ibrahim Ayokunle Isiaka for Ewikuru Federal Constituency. I rise to support the amendment as ably moved by Honorable J.J. Jimo. I so support, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, sir.
Those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the Honorable Sada, you wanted to say something on this motion? Okay.
Mr. Speaker, this motion is a Nigerian motion. Mr. Speaker, I can remember in April 2017 when CBN issued the guide to charges on various products and services to the banks, the main reason was to improve financial inclusiveness. Mr. Speaker, the most worrying thing is when you go to deposit money.
Honorable,
When you go to deposit money, you are charged. When you participate in the microeconomic activities and you generated a revenue, you generated some income, you go to deposit it in the bank, you are charged. You have to pay some money for depositing your money, for going to go and keep your money, and that's one of the greatest roles of the bank. Then when you go to withdraw again, to come back to participate in the financial inclusiveness, again, you are charged. Mr. Speaker, you will not believe this retinue of charges: current account maintenance fee, electronic transfer fund, card maintenance, credit card charges, debit card charges, issuance of statement accounts, merchant service loans. That's even when people are being paid salaries. That's bulk payment. That charge. Some of these charges are hidden charges. The average customer is not protected. The average customer is burdened by these charges. I think there is need for the Parliament to look into this so that at least it will bring some succor to the Nigerian public. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I think it's a very important, and I think we might even have discussed this some time ago in this house, but nonetheless, it's very, very important, and I think it should be looked into. And also vis-a-vis the contracts, application and contracts that were signed by customers when they open their accounts. Those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. The eighth order of the day is a motion on need to grant automatic employment to first-class graduates standing in the name of Honorable Chinedu Emeka Martins. Honorable Martins is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Emeka Chinedu, member representing the good people of Ahia's Residence, Mr. Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Imo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move a motion on the need to grant automatic employment to first-class graduates. The House knows that at the end of every academic year, Nigerian universities, both government and private owned, produce hundreds of first-class graduates, where a huge percentage find it difficult to secure jobs or establish a place to give back to the society or make commensurate input on nation building. The House also notes that graduating in first class in any institution of learning is an indicator of the grade A brain, as the journey to such feat is not only characterized by the smartness or intellect of the graduating student, but riddled with challenges such as superlative effort, resilience, hard work, determination, irrepressible stress, with a strong will that showcases the inability to accept failure in all circumstances. The House therefore regrets that the growing rate at which employable first-class graduates of universities in the country are going jobless or leaving the country in droves after the National Youth Service Corps, while the lower grades whose relations are connected get options of first refusal, irrespective of the growing national concern to get the nation's best brain abroad, about leadership and other positions. The House is also aware that the lack of job opportunity for first-class graduates is not just a result of non-preparedness of graduates, since some lucky ones do get the prize for postgraduate scholarship award, skip master's degree to PhD, or get instant job opportunities, as some universities are magnanimous enough to award their first-class graduates with automatic employment to becoming assistant lecturers, student lecturers, and so on, in their specific field of learning. The House is therefore cognizant of the Presidential Scholarship Award, the Nigerian Federal Government First Class Scholarship Award, that are aimed at reducing the financial burdens on students by assisting the scholar in the payment of institutions' charges, fees, and personal maintenance in fields such as medical and surgery education. environmental sciences, entrepreneurial skills, and agriculture. The House is also aware that as recently as a year ago, the University of Lagos offered employment to not fewer than 100 graduates of the university who made first class in various fields of study in the university. Why it is undeniable that there are some firms in the country with defined quality and excellent policies that consider applicants with first class honors before other categories of graduates, which is in line with the global and best practices. The House is further concerned that same job opportunities are not obtainable for first-class graduates in the ministries, departments, and agencies and parastatals, who are by their position as government agencies saddled with the responsibilities of driving the country's economic and infrastructural development. The House is further concerned that Nigeria's inability to live the status of a developing nation may not be unconnected with the insensitivity and lack of political will of the ruling class and policymakers to introduce a reward system in a way that the best brains will automatically occupy important positions according to their area of competence. Further concerned that according to research, Nigeria has continued to unwittingly give away her best brains and intellectuals to other countries who, by their robust policies on the value system, reward diligence and excellence as evidenced in the way and manner that Nigerians has continued to export her highly rated professionals, such as medical doctors and nurses, who were unable to get jobs within the country after graduation. Further notes on a recent report by the Higher Education Data Expert QS that the single biggest factor that students consider in countries such as United Kingdom, United States, Germany, France, and Australia, China, Canada, when choosing a university is their chance of landing a good job the country offers when they complete their courses. The House further believes that the first-class graduates are mostly needed in all fields of human endeavor, especially in Nigeria, where they can contribute in their areas of competence, such as economic planning, manufacturing, small and medium-scale enterprise, engineering and infrastructure, etc. The House also believes that such automatic offer of a job for first-class graduates will not only be the source of motivation for students in all fields to work harder, but maximizing their potential in preparation for their different economic roles, future leadership position, and ultimately reduce unemployment while helping to achieve development targets. The House is therefore worried that, irrespective of her ability to produce first-class brains at the end of every academic year, Nigeria may not only continue to unwittingly export her best brains to more purposeful countries, but witness a high rate of unemployment and stagnate in her status of a developing nation if nothing is done urgently to establish a reward system for diligence and excellence. The House therefore resolved that 1, all the Federal Ministry of Education to liaise with the relevant government agencies to ensure employment of first-class graduates of Nigerian institutions. 2, mandate the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services and Labor and Employment and Productivity to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, how many pages was that motion? That's a very long motion. Honorable Olabi.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Speaker of the Ninth Assembly. My name remains Honorable James Adisa Olabi. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my honorable colleagues. I so second, sir.
Amendment.
Before we put the question, amendment?
Yes. Amendment.
Okay, hold on. Before the amendment, are you speaking against? Against, okay. Go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Abdrazak Nabdas. I represent the good people of Ganye, Jada, Tongo, Maibelwa. I'm from Adamawa State, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this bill is actually...
No, motion.
This motion, sorry, should have been a discretionary matter. In the spirit of the Constitution, our Constitution says that nobody should be discriminated against. You see, if you make it a motion and the House have to compare that we should make people with first class get automatic job. Mr. Speaker, you are in Nigeria. That will be craze for first class. And it will be much better that we identify in which area of this first class are we talking about. Is it in the area of technology? Or is this that if I read Hausa, I become first class, I should just be given an automatic employment? I agree that somebody who has a first class must be one of the best brains within the place. But Your Excellency, Speaker, we have a lot of people who are also, some people are even second class lower by the circumstance. But by the Speaker, they could even be better than first class people. The circumstances that made me to go to school to come out with third class pass degree, you wouldn't have known. Assuming all other things being equal, I would have come out with first class. So it is not that because somebody had first class, that's it. So I want to suggest that when it's a good motion, we should not compel. Because even the spirit of Constitution says, look, let us not discriminate. So that when our children come out of the school, we only can pay attention to only those who get first class. But the person with second class upper will not be taken. So I think that is something that I feel that we should look at it, Mr. Speaker. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Your arguments are good, but based on the Constitution and discrimination, the Constitution says you cannot discriminate, but based on, it gives you age, sex, religion, and all that. Not that you cannot discriminate, or if you want to call it discrimination, on a smart student as opposed to not too smart student. That is not applicable in the Constitution. Discrimination in the Constitution is only based on certain criteria, categories of people, like I said, sex, age, and all of that. But yes, but even beyond that, you've made some good points. We have to encourage everybody, right? That's what you're saying. Honorable Babangida.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. You see, Mr. Speaker, this has been a current policy, existing policy within the federal government of Nigeria since Obasanjo time. It has been the policy that whoever has first class in the civil service, automatically he gets automatic employment. And the policy has been existent to date. Number two, if you look at the prayers, he's directing his prayers to the Minister of Education. Minister of Education is not responsible for recruiting civil servants into the public service. Number three, if we insist on this, it will encourage academic corruption. It will encourage academic corruption, where everybody will try, even as it is today, we are trying to manage the level of corruption that is existing within the tertiary institution in Nigeria. So we should not encourage academic corruption, because if we insist that anybody who gets first class, automatically you get employed, then at every level of the tertiary institution, people will now be pushing people, especially if you have 4.5 to cross first class and you have 4.43. They will say, this is minimal, let's just push it. So I think the fact that it has been an existing policy now as it is, I don't think we need this motion. Thank you.
What you're saying, if it's an existing...
It's an existing policy.
So how is the existing policy, if it's the same thing, how is the existing policy not pushing corruption, but this one is?
No, what I'm saying is that it has been the policy, and those people that went wrong, because I had the privilege of discussing with one of the committee members long time ago when the policy was introduced. Some of the major challenges they face across the state, because they go around all the states. And you see, there's a limitation. We can only emphasize on the issue of public service. You cannot insist the private sector must employ with first class. Because even if you have first class, you have to pass through several tests and examinations to confirm whether even the qualification, you can justify it. So I think it has been a policy. I'm not saying the way it is not encouraging academic corruption, but it's one of the challenges that was faced by the committee that went around the state with regard to those people's first class. Thank you.
All right. Any other contributor?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, honorable comrade Chineduoga Owen. I represent Ikwa Azasa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I stand to amend this motion. First of all, this motion is a kind of reawakening call. It will help to motivate Nigerians, especially those involved in crime, to read their book assertively. But I have to amend it in this way that those in polytechnics that do make a distinction in different fields should be inclusive and Federal College of Agriculture, because it's almost equivalent with PSC holders. If they're included, it will help to make sure most of those schools reabsorb the distinction students in those various polytechnics that have their HND distinction in their various fields. Likewise, College of Agriculture that do equivalent PSC holder like universities. That is my amendment, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and you can still find out in NC holders, we are lacking teachers in our various education sectors. That NC holders should be equally included. It will motivate them to have more teachers in various institutions.
Were you speaking for the motion?
Yes, I'm supporting the motion. Okay. It's a weight. There is something that will help to motivate Nigerian youth so that most of them will be very hard to make first class, because they know if they have their first class, they will have the automatic employment in their various fields.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker Henry Nwauba. Mr. Speaker, as you know, I always support anything that will promote excellence in any sector in Nigeria. If this motion would actually, when subject to the Nigerian factors, lead to an increased excellence in performance, and that we can guarantee the integrity of the education and how the qualifications are obtained, then, Mr. Speaker and my honorable colleagues, I will throw my full support behind this. But I am persuaded by some of the arguments coming from the right honorable gentleman from Katsina, who is saying that this is already in existence. We may need to just align the two positions. It would be good to know why it has not been working. Perhaps there are other extenuating factors that we may not be aware. It's a good motion. I'm happy that it's on the floor today, but I think we may still need to subject this to a little bit more of a legislative investigation to take an informed decision. I so submit.
Thank you. Honorable JJ.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jim Abdurrahim Olajide. I represent Lagos Midland, Federal Constituency, Lagos State. I have listened attentively to the mover of the motion, and has also listened to others who have contributed. And we have to allow the wisdom to prevail in this circumstance. We are talking about grammar or the legislative aspect of this motion. I can say it's good, but we have to be very careful. Honorable Namdas has just said something. So if you have first class in Hausa language, or you have first class in Igbo language, you have first class in Yoruba language, does that mean you are automatically qualified for people who have 2-1 in any other subject? What will bring the value of what you have to the system, to our community, to our society is very, very important. If you are talking about skill, technology, science, medical, I think that will be even much more preferable. That's number one. Number two, now you are now trying to move a motion that we allow Minister of Education to take as important as anything. Then the Minister of Education is not in charge of employment. We have Federal Character Commission and some other agencies and ministries. Are you now saying that you are going to compel all those ones? We have to think about it very well before we pass this, so that it will not speak against us in future. We must allow voice of reasoning and force of wisdom to prevail in this circumstance. Thank you very much.
Okay, let me ask you something, Honorable Nandas and Honorable JJ. So when we all lived with an era, and we still live with it, where first class students, all bright students are given scholarship, and sometimes they even have to take an exam. Is there any difference between that and this motion? Because you're also discriminating between whatever yes.
Your Excellency, my name is Ahmed Idris. I represent Waseferi Constituency. Respected colleagues, I think when Namdas was here, I shared some of the points that he possibly raised. And I appreciate the mover of the motion, but I think I would toe the line of my brother that this motion needs to be given another thought so that we can come up with the best. Your Excellency, somebody with engineering and then somebody coming out to graduate, and so to say medical and other sciences, cannot be compared in terms of the technical need and importance of what we have today, the challenges we have in this world. With somebody graduating in Hausa with distinction or first class. What we need today is technological advancement. Even the scholarship you refer to, Your Excellency, it is not every area of endeavor and courses that are giving scholarship to go out and study, to go and study. The areas of giving are in the sciences and technology. And this is what it would require to move the nation. I wholeheartedly agree to the submission. And I will tell you, Your Excellency, I'm a victim of some of the things that happen. I saw somebody, I want to give a little narration of what happened to me in a course we call material studies. I wish Solomon is here because we're in the same class with him. I had a textbook of that particular course. And it was verbatim the person that lifted and gave us the assignment. Your Excellency, at the end of the day, I got 11.5/20. The people that copied for me had 19.5/20. And I approached the teacher as to what really happened. Can you show me? And I spoke to the person in the very language he would understand, that I'm here as a senior person from my own establishment. I want to go back and be responsible. By the time the person went through the script, he couldn't show me one space that was wrong. And I now said to the person, this is something you copied for social book. You mean that? I say, yes. Can you show me the book? I brought the book to today. I don't have that book. I missed the book. I missed the marks. I'm saying, if Solomon Mare is here, he can attest to it. We're in the same class with him. Two people. And then the issue of these points he raised, I also suffered from it. In another course, I got 74.5. To get 75 will have given me AA. Mathematically can approximate down. That teacher, again another teacher, denied me that summary, and before me increased another person's mark by 5. So it is not always that the result that is out there is a true reflection of the knowledge, sir. I don't believe in that. Because I suffered from this injustice, and I'm giving that any of my classmates can bear witness and attest to that. I got disenchanted at the end of the day. I want to tell you, sir, sincerely speaking, that it is not all that's in the academic that represent what is in the head. The head is different, and we have that. That those who will come with this kind of very wonderful result at the end of the day, nothing to show, and they can't compete with you. I believe in ourselves. I believe in the country. And again, apart from this issue of our science and what is the need of the country, I'm also, it used to be automatic for the institutions, I think not the civil service, it's the institutions that offer automatic employment. Reason to attract the best brain. It goes win out. Nobody wants to, if you graduate with first class, somebody is going to NNPC, is drawing maybe 500,000, 800,000 in a month. Then you are left in the academic circle to take 120,000 naira. It's because of what happened from 1992 when Babangida started this putting salary structure according to agencies and institutions, that it no longer became attractive. And so we lost the fame, we lost the attraction, and no person, sir, I will tell you, if you are a first class person, that you will graduate, you will be looking for industry, and they will be looking for you, oil and gas, to employ you. So this could be part of the reason. And I will beg, instead of throwing the motion, no, let's throw the line of the two, step down the motion, carry out more research as to why it's not happening. But I will not subscribe that somebody will go and read history, and social studies. They say automatic employment. No, sir. we have to divide. We have to differentiate. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'll give you the right of reply, but let me just say this. Let us accept or not accept that. One, we need the best brains in Nigeria. Is that a yes or no? And I think yes, we do. Any country does. Two, if we answer that in the affirmative, two, we now ask ourselves, are we aware or are we in denial that there are people, the best brains, you can apply for a job and you're a first-class student and you don't get it, but a third-class student gets the job based on either nepotism or whatever it is? Does that happen? Okay? So if that happens, who suffers? It's the country that suffers when that happens. So the question I'm asking is this: if we know that that kind of thing happens, whether it's NNPC, whether it's aviation, whether it's Ministry of Justice, whether it's Ministry of Justice, sometimes you get people getting in and the person who actually can do the job cannot get in. And I think that is what his motion is seeking to address. My question is this now: as important as this is, because I think it's important, do we even address it by way of motion? Or is it possible to bring a very well-crafted law that now addresses some of the issues that are the concerns of others, that okay, you're a first class in Hausa, how does that help another institution? Where the finer details, such as relevant employment or relevant institution, can now be couched into the law, as opposed to leaving it, or if you're a first class in Igbo language or in Yoruba language, you can get admission anywhere. I agree with that. That's why I don't think a motion will address this, but I think it's still something that can either go and then come back as well through a motion, because you can't enforce a motion anyway. The right of reply. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hold on. He's a academician. But yes, the way you're insisting on him, I can already know his position. I already know his position. And there's subliminal messages that we may end up speaking and be sending out there that we don't appreciate. It's a subliminal message. We may end up sending that message out there. We'll leave you to it. Hold on. We'll take Honorable Fulata and then we'll take Johnson and then we'll give you your right of reply. Oh yeah. Oh, Deputy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Fulata. I represent Baniwa, Creek Kasama, Uri Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, except for the sake of just emphasis, what the motion seeks to achieve is already being achieved, implemented informally. Mostly first-class graduates and 2-1, second-class upper, are offered automatic employment by the departments where they graduated from. In the academia, yes, in the academia. And still, in various organizations, they don't take a lot of time to get employed. Once they apply, attend interview, and they are found to be sound, they are taken before other graduates. And that's why, except if we are just doing it for sake of emphasis, I think it is better for us to leave it as it is.
Can you say for a fact
Yes, sir.
that if somebody applies to a ministry
Yes.
and he's a first class student, that ministry will take him before a third class? Can you say that for a fact?
Now, I cannot give an ironclad guarantee. I cannot give an bureaucracies normally they are reactionary. Bureaucracies are reactionary. They don't appreciate intellect.
And that's why we're here, to make them appreciate it. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, but
If you've just admitted that sometimes they don't, but that's our job here, to make sure that they do. Honorable, are you done?
Rotimi, it's my turn.
No.
Rotimi, it's my turn.
Yeah, no. It's Johnson.
You cannot rig this election. My distinguished colleagues, all the people of the Federal Constituency are from Edo State, I want to appreciate all that have spoken. You have all spoken like fathers, whether those that make reference to corruption and those that feel that it should be professionalized. But the issue here is that first class is a feat when it comes to the field of academics. It's not easy to come by, whether in history, whether in Hausa. That you read Mercy does not mean that somebody who has come out in a flying color in Yoruba is not an academician or he has not made an achievement. Let us not restrict this thing to various fields. All of us, we are not created the same way. God has given us in different areas, in different fields. We all have our different gifts. What is important here now is that you enter Nigeria, you discover that people who have struggled to come out in flying colors, they are roaming the streets as if nothing happened. In the process, we are not encouraging others to be studious or to take academic very seriously. If somebody made first class in Hausa, he can rise to become a professor in Hausa. He will be lecturing it. But let us look at this motion very critically. There is no crime in surplusage, even if it's already existing. And this motion is to emphasize it, to redeploy it so that Nigeria will know that our children that have achieved at least should be considered, so that it will encourage others it will serve as an impetus for them to now study hard. So if Esther can make the first class and is given automatic, some people will be encouraged. Under corruption, there are always very few. It's not everybody that will make for class corruptly. Those that will make for class corruptly, they are very, very insignificant. So please, let us look at this motion very critically. Let them just throw it away. It's something that will encourage our people. And our people, they are watching us debating this thing. Please, they are our children. And if they are performed, let us find a way of accommodating them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think it's also important to note that we talk about brain drain, and our children running away to get employment. I am aware that even international organizations, when they hear of the exploits of some of our students and the material they are, or how smart and clever they are, they seek them out here. So you are not wanted in your home, or you are not appreciated, your first class material, but somebody else out there is poaching you. So we need to look at this thing holistically. We take the whip. Yes, okay. The whip DS, and then we go revert to, so that we can leave here. We revert to the mover of the motion.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, as rightly alluded to by you, our motion or the resolution that is sought to be passed by way of motion today is purely persuasive in nature. And it was against this backdrop that you advised that the sponsor of this motion should come by way of a bill so that there will be a law guiding it to have a coercive instrument of enforcement where there is breach or violation. Mr. Speaker, against this backdrop, I want to support this motion in as much as there is a policy in existence of giving automatic employment to first-class graduates, especially within the academia. But when it comes to the civil service and other ministries, departments and agencies of government, all of us are Nigerians. We know what is happening. So there is the need for us, for at least for now, pass this motion by way of a resolution so that we'll send out the right messages. And then for the sponsor to come with a bill that will be passed into law and it will have a coercive effect for its enforcement. Thank you.
Excellency, respected colleagues, I still want to say that I'm not looking down upon another fashion or in terms of course, but the need and what society requires, and this is what we're supposed to be aggregating. Even in our appropriation, we look at areas of need. Every agency of government is important, but you know that you don't give the same allocation to every sector. Reason being because of our need. If today we have people who will go and develop agricultural sector so that we can have food security, fine, we'll look into that direction and improve. Those who will be in the economic sector that will improve and bring us more foreign earnings, will into that sector. Your Excellency, I am not in any way looking down upon, but I'm saying that as a parliament, we need to put issues and things that will promote and improve on the quest for those who are seeking for knowledge to know the relevance of what they are doing. We are talking of merging the departments of government, and then we are saying, no, every other person, you can go to read anything. Why are we trying to merge government agencies? It's because we want to reduce the expenditure to look at what will come to us as the basic need of the country, not wastage. And it's part of our own constitutional responsibility to ensure that it's not waste. Even in approving courses, when institutions are established, they are not giving the first brink. If I have a university of technology, why do I have a university of technology? Why do I encourage people to go and technological and the sciences to come and do what? Those areas they are talking about that people are picking, they are not picking them because of the possible manpower here. They are picking them because our own pay system, I mentioned it, somebody graduating with first class in engineering, medicine, they are paying him 120,000 naira, 200,000 naira. In the oil and gas, within your own sector, and I give you an example, DPR4, a diploma holder would be earning 300,000 naira. How do you expect somebody like that to stay? We have the best brains, I want to believe so, in medicine, in engineering, and in every other sector. From Nigeria, they are not moving out because there is no work. No, the opportunities here is not the same. And this is one other area that possibly the parliament need to come and look through heavily. If we do that, we'll be able to solve this problem. But a blanket, I want to say too, even within the sector of the federal sector, I chair federal character, and I know a bank of industry, for instance, don't give any work with anybody who less than 2-2. You can come for anybody, they don't care. You have to have minimum 2-2, and you must pass that test. The same thing with an NPC. You don't come with because you have a godfather, so that let us not give out the expectation as if everything is uhuru. It's not so, sir. Within the agencies for government in Nigeria that I know today, there are basic minimum standards. It is the civil service maybe that has been left open. And I will agree that yes, we need to aggregate. And it's unfortunate. Go through their text basis from the so-called graduates. You would be amazed with the kind of construction of language as to whether the person has been passed through the four corners of university. But he's a graduate. And if you maybe look at the grade, it's a grade that you will also be shocked. I have numerous that I can say if I told you as going through your issues, so it is not just the academic. Yes, we encourage the academic performance. We would encourage good excellence in record. But again, examination, they say, is not the best test of knowledge. I believe in that. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, yes, but I'm sure you will admit that there are first-class graduates out there who don't have jobs. There are too many. That's number one. That's number one. And these are the same first-class graduates because they are unemployed. That is their easy prey to these international companies. I think it's something that well, you know, we are here to secure for this welfare of our people, and I think it's not good that somebody will burn the candle lights, midnight oil, day in day out for years, and at the end of the day, he's thrown out on the street. He cannot get a job. Yes, NNPC and so many agencies look for the best. But I can tell you that if you go to those agencies as well, you will see people with third class or ordinary pass. Much better, they'll tell them, they don't even look at their CV, they just say we are not employing. But meanwhile, you've heard them say they are employing backdoor. I hear it all the time. On the people that the way they construct their English, they use like they didn't go through school or whatever. Yes, I agree. But I don't think an institution will just say, okay, you got a first class, come and work with us. You will still go through an interview process. They will still go through vetting. They will still talk to you, verbal interview, written interview. What this motion does is that it allows you a door, a foot in the door, rather. You've heard people say, what have you done for me lately? I think Nigeria should start doing things for the students, especially encouraging them. But like Honorable Mongunu said, maybe this should come by way of law so that we can streamline it. And areas of concern we can address. Who was trying to say something now? Abegunde.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Honorable Leke Abeji, this is my name. I represent the good people of the Agwafera constituency. I'm from Kogi State. I want to align with Honorable Johnson, Oguma, no, not Babangida. Sir, there are some degrees that are graded, like MBBS. That is Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. They are graded. So this motion didn't capture that particular discipline. And other discipline, I think, pharmacy. So you should look at it. MBBS is not graded. There's no first class. There is no second class. MBBS is MBBS. Then I want to speak to the motion. The motion is talking majorly about MDAs. And Mr. Speaker is very right. If you go to NNPC, you see a lot of people with disciplines that are not relevant to that industry. That they don't have anything, they didn't study anything related to it. I want to say this, it's not maybe I'm chairman customs. If you see the current recruitment that they are doing, the replacement, they specifically requested the discipline they want. That if you don't study this, because we are mostly using computer now to do our job, you must do this, you must do that. So if you are not in that area, even though if you apply, you will not be taken. So I want to just, maybe a way of amendment, to remove the word automatic from the employment of a first-class graduate. It can be like giving them consideration, because it's not every first class, as the Deputy Speaker said, that at the best, maybe if they put them to test, you can even see second class upper that is better than first class. So, but they can give them consideration, and then they pass through test before they are given that employment. Not just maybe you come out with first class, you just give you automatic. There must be a procedure before you are being employed. But I believe we need them more in the ministries and departments. That's why our ministries are not working. That is why the MDAs are not working. Because the people there, they are incompetent, most of them. If you check properly, that is how they are. So please, I would beg of us for this motion to pass. Thank you, honorable colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Move up the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Emeka Chinedu. I represent the good people of Ahihazum Bisezin, the Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Imo State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank everybody who has spoken, either for this motion, in favor of this motion, or against this motion. Mr. Speaker, this motion is a straightforward motion. What this motion is simply saying is that we should encourage hard work. I'm surprised some people are saying, does it mean if somebody has a first class in Yoruba, then you give him employment? Mr. Speaker, for you to have a first class, whether in TV language or in whatever language or in whatever course, you must have put in a very hard work to earn you a first class. And Mr. Speaker, an institution does not just issue you a first class. They go through rigorous process before you are awarded a first class degree. It's not only you just say, I can understand the analogy of the DS. That could be error from your institution, but a lot of students go through a lot of hard work to earn first class. And before I move this motion, Mr. Speaker, I made a lot of research from my constituency. I found out that a lot of first class graduates are unemployed. They are all over the street, roaming without employment. When you see a third class graduate who earns a lot of money under some president, they are duly employed, leaving the first class students on the street. So, Mr. Speaker, the idea of this motion is to encourage hard work. If somebody graduates with the first class, it would be good that we encourage such person with automatic employment. Somebody is saying that it's been there before, but as I speak to you today, a lot of first class students are unemployed. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I would beg that we allow this motion go through as a way of rewarding hard work for some of the unemployed first class graduates we have in the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in
Yes.
Honorable Chinedu, what was your amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. It wasn't seconded. We asked for a secondment. We didn't. Okay.
Yes.
Let's just put the question. Let's just put the question.
Huh?
So that we can move forward. Been on this for almost an hour. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Do you want me to repeat it? The ayes have it. The ninth order of the day is a motion on need to increase the capacity of the 22 industrial development centers in Nigeria, standing in the name of Honorable Olubukola Oyewo. Honorable Oyewo is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, my esteemed leaders and colleagues. Olubukola Oyewo is my name. I represent all the people of Irepodu, Olarunda, Rolu, Osogbo Federal Constituency. I am from Osun State, the state of the virtuous. I rise to present a motion on the need to increase the capacity of the 22 industrial development centers in Nigeria. Well, this motion is predicated on the appalling state of the Industrial Development Center in Osogbo, among others, where the buildings are in total state of disrepair, the machines are underutilized. In fact, the vast expanse of land is overgrown by weeds.
exposing the premises to use from.
Are you debating the motion?
Mr. Speaker.
No, let's just take it that it's an infrastructure motion, so you've moved it. Let me just get a seconder. Okay, Chinedu, second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, Honorable Comrade Chinedu Oga Owen. I represent Ikwo Ezasa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion. Every move by
Honorable Agusoye, approach the chair.
I hereby second.
Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded. It's an infrastructure motion. Honorable Yo, I think it's pretty clear. Let's just put the question. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. The 10th order of the day is consideration of 4 reports of the Committee on Health Institutions. Honorable Pascal Obi will move for their consideration. He's not here, so we had stepped that one down. No, we stepped it down. It wasn't presented. This is now consideration. There are 2 stages. You weren't here when it was presented. You weren't here for the presentation, so you now cannot, because it was not presented, you now cannot jump into consideration. Where's the chairman business? You are not here during presentation, so how do we now consider something that has not been presented?
I don't know whether the reports are the same, because presentation may be different. Are they the same bill, sir?
No, the same. Okay. Was it not the same thing as the presentation? It was 4 bills too. Oh, you had presented these ones. When? When? Huh? Oh, not today.
Not today, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay, so because you had another one that was meant for presentation today.
I presented.
Okay, so go ahead then. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigozie Obi. I represent the very good people of Idato North, Idato South Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Imo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish Alex Ekweme Federal Teaching Hospital, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State, and for related matters, HB 1325, and approve the recommendations therein. I also rise to move that the committee do consider the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to provide for establishment of Federal Medical Center, Amago, Ikwo, in Ebonyi State, and for related matters, HB 1326, and approve the recommendations therein. Also, that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish Federal Medical Center, Bonny, in Rivers State, and for related matters, HB 963, and approve the recommendations therein. Also, that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Health and Management Sciences, AMIBO, Imo State, to provide full-time courses, teaching instructions and training in health, management sciences, applied sciences, and for related matters, HB 1420, and approve the recommendations therein. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Osby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Ozuribugoni is my name. I'm from Imo State. I represent the good people of Funkwere, Isu, Wangala, and Ndeba Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion for the four reports for consideration as moved by Honorable Pascal Obi, Chairman on Health Institution. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. I have two announcements here from the House Leader. The first announcement, members of the APC caucus are by this notice invited for a meeting with Senator Tanko Almakura, scheduled for tomorrow, Thursday, 17th March 2022, time 3 p.m. at hearing room 0.28. Signed, Honorable Ado Dogwa, House Leader. That's a meeting tomorrow, Thursday, 3 o'clock with Senator Tanko Almakura, room 028. He has also sent me a reminder. The meeting with the APC national leader, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will hold this evening by 4 p.m. I think there's been a change of time and venue. So the meeting will hold by 4 p.m. at room 0.28 National Assembly and not at Ladi Kwali Hall as earlier announced. Members are kindly expected to attend, please. Announcer Al-Hassan Ado Dogwa, House Leader. The House Leader may, he's not here, move that the House resolve into the Committee of the Whole.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marche Monguno Nganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I move that the House do resolve into a Committee of the Whole to consider reports. I so move.
Honorable Maki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Abubakar Maki, Eleman. I'm from Jigawa State. I represent Madam Kaugama Federal Constituency. I stand to second the motion heavily moved by my senior colleague that the House should resume to the Committee of the Whole. I so second. Thank you.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. The House hereby resolves to the Committee of the Whole.
Respected colleagues, the first report to be considered is that of Committee on Health Institutions on a brief and act to establish Alice Kwame Federal Teaching Hospital Abakaliki in Ebonyi State, and for later matters, I now invite Dr. Pascal to give the synopsis of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, my noble colleagues. Mr. Chairman, I'm Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigozie Obi, member representing the very good people of Idato North, Idato South Federal Constituency. I'm from Imo State. Mr. Chairman, I rise to move that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish the Alex Ekweme Federal Teaching Hospital, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State, and for related matters, HB 1325, and approve the recommendations therein. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Thank you. Respect colleagues, clause 1. Clause 1. Clause 2. Clause 3. Clause 4. Clause 5.
Carried.
6.
Carried.
7.
Carried.
8.
Carried.
Honorable Pascal,
Sir.
can you explain to us 9 a little bit?
Clause 9. That's part 3. Staff of the Federal Teaching Hospital, Medical Director of Say, there shall be for the Federal Teaching Hospital a Chief Medical Director who shall be appointed by the President on recommendation of the Board on such terms and conditions as may be specified in his letter of appointment or as may be determined from time to time by the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission.
No, if you are going to, as opposed to articulating this other one, there shall be for the medical center,
yes,
medical director who shall be appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Honorable Minister.
There shall be.
But you have a board. If you have a board, what is the function of the board?
The board recommends, the board advertises interviews and then recommend, but the president appoints.
It's because of the way they have usurped powers, the ministers. Otherwise, it should be the board are supposed to be responsible to the on appointment, yes, after the appointment, but they are supposed to be responsible to the president. It is when boards are not formed that the ministry now take charge and responsibility of the agencies. But since you have board, the board should recommend to the president.
The board recommends to the president through the ministry. That is through the.
But you have taken
minister.
off them. That's what I'm saying. My own is on recommendation of the board. That should be the idea.
The board, what the board does is to advertise and hold interview.
No, it goes beyond that.
That's what they do presently, sir.
It's not correct. It's division of powers. It is so with every other agency. Once you have board members are supposed to discipline, promote, and appoint.
Without the minister.
Not the minister. They are responsible to the president.
No, the way
it is the agency, I will allow it go. I don't. 9. Okay. Thank you.
Honorable Babangida, Order 9, Rule 4, Sub-Rule 13.
Well, it's raising a very vital point. Thank you. 11, 10, 11. $12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Again, it is their own discretion. We have now a bill, hopefully if it is signed, as to when the president will submit bill. So if you are giving them 38, when are they going to submit their own? And then thereafter for transmission, but it's their own discretion. Got it?
Carried. That's 13. Is it 13 or 14? Which, where?
That why is it what is tenable? What is tenable that I mentioned? We have amended other clauses in other bills.
The board shall prepare and submit to the president, not later than that.
So 16 carried. 12. Which 12 again?
18.
17, 18, 19. No, you carry everything. No, there's no problem. Is it the only? This is his own wish, so carry it for him.
Honorable Chair, honorable colleagues, I'm Architect Ibrahim Al-Mustafa Aliu, member representing Wunnoraba Federal Constituency. Honorable Chair, my challenge is with the item number 19. Yes, maybe the chairman of the committee should explain further, because I see no reason why that an institution be exempted from paying, income tax.
It's a new proposal order.
What?
It's a new proposal law.
It's a new proposed law.
So
it should be. It should not be tenable. It's not tenable, Chair. I think it should be revisited. But the chair can explain further.
The federal teaching hospital shall not pay income tax on any income derived by the federal teaching hospital under this bill or accruing to it from any of its investments. Any of its investment, they don't pay income tax. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, come in.
My name is Honorable Babangida Ibrahim, representing Malumfashi, Kafur, Federal Constituency. I'm from Kasana 6. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, federal teaching hospitals are not tax-paying agencies. So there's no reason why you bring an exemption from paying tax. They are agents of collection on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria in the case of withholding tax and value-added tax. So if you are saying they should be exempted, which means any contractor dealing with the teaching hospital will never be subjected to tax. So I think this 19 should be completely deleted because they are not tax-paying agency in the first place. So the question of exemption does not even arise. They are agents of collection on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria. They withheld and they remit. That's the position. So I want to second, I want to move that section 19 be completely deleted.
Mr. Chair, before the motion, sir. If it is an existing law already codified, an act of National Assembly, you cannot amend it by just a mere motion. It has to come through a bill to that effect.
Are you saying this is copy and paste?
Unless, if it is retained, which means
No, retain based on the proposal of the bill.
Retain based on the
Proposal
recommendation
of
of
the
the
bill,
committee.
not an existing law.
Oh, it's not an existing law.
It's on the proposal of the based on the proposal of the bill. It is retained.
All right, okay.
So I want to move. CBS point you because they are not taxpaying agency now.
I don't know. Respected colleagues, let us not be distracted. Go back to the long title of the bill. Report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment. It's a proposal. And that's why, including the areas I was trying to persuade him to understand. It's not an amendment bill. Huh?
Mr. Chairman, I want to move that it should be expunged completely because teaching hospitals are not taxpayer agencies. So if you are not a taxpayer agency, how can you be exempted? Exempted from what? And what income do they drive? So if they drive income, what is the provision of Fiscal Responsibility Act with regard to remittance of 80% of operating surplus?
Well, Pascal, the attention I want to draw to you is that even if you pass this thing, it will be subjected now to the various agencies of government. And that's why our bills are returned to us. And we don't want that kind of situation to be happening to us. Instead of now allowing, and then we please ourselves, at the end of the day, they take it there and agencies ABC now make observations. This one they have put is not tending, and they return it. It's not good on our own image. But you have the right, as a chairman, I don't want to. If they brought you original proposal, it is not who line and sinker that whatever they, that's why you as a committee are allowed to go and sit down and work on it. It's not that whatever they brought. Why are we deleting and amending clauses? Yes, sir.
Please, I want the chairman of the committee to tell us.
Okay, let me move a motion.
The
that
type
is
of
expunged.
income.
Let me move a motion. Let's expunge it.
Let him tell us the type of income that are likely to accrue from their teaching hospital.
Once expunged.
Okay.
Okay.
No, you see, it is responsible. Let me take your seat, please, so that we understand our work here. The committee of the whole have the responsibility to look into every bill that has been submitted, to agree with their recommendations, or not to agree with their recommendations. It's not that when you turn in with incumbent or to accept, then why are we having the meeting, the sitting? That's what we are.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigoziobi. I represent the people of Idata North, Idata South Federal Constituency. I'm from Imo State. Mr. Chairman, I move that this item 9, section 19 and 20 of the bill for the establishment of LX Ekweme Federal Teaching Hospital, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State, and for related matters, that section 19 and 20 of the proposal be expunged. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
And look at the recommendation, sir. To become a law that the Senate should pass that the medical center shall not pay customs duty on any restricted or prohibited.
That's section 19 and 20. Section 19 and 20 be expunged. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Seconder. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Honorable Chike John Okafor, representing the Himembano Hitru Boma, Obo Federal Constituency, and from Imo State, I rise to second the motion ably moved by the Chairman, Health Institutions, that clauses 19 and 20 of the proposal for a bill for the establishment of the Alice Equipment Federal Teaching Hospital,
those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Expunged.
Against say nay. That's have it. 21. 22. 23. 23, 24, 25, 26, 29, sorry, schedules. Yes, sir.
With the expansion of 19 and 20, I thought the subsequent section would be adjusted accordingly. 21 now becomes 19.
After the committee of the House, then they will go back down the secretariat to the work on the district based on what is approved. Thank you. Schedules. Explanatory memorandum. Long title. The next report is the same committee on the health on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal Medical Center, Amagu Iko, Ibo State, and for later matter. Now invite Pascal to give the signals for this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, my noble colleagues. Mr. Chairman, I'm Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigoziobi, representing Ida North, Ida South Federal Constituency of Imo State. Mr. Chairman, I rise to move that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal Medical Center, Amago Ikwo, in Ebonyi State, and for related matters, HB 1326, and approve the recommendations therein. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Plus one. Plus two. Plus three.
Carried.
I don't understand returning B. 3. Is it going to be the only membership of the board? Yes.
of the board, other than ex officio members, shall be appointed by the president and persons of proven integrity and ability. The supplementary provisions set out in the schedule to this act shall have effect with respect to proceedings of the board and other matters contained therein.
Yes, sir.
It has to do with the composition of the board.
Go to your recommendation.
Eh?
Second column, there's recommendation. That's what I'm saying, I'm confused.
Okay. The medical, okay, for Federal Medical Center, we have medical director, not chief medical director. That is the only amendment we did, and we retained every other part.
Okay.
Chief medical director is for university teaching hospitals, while medical directors are for Federal Medical Centers, national orthopedic hospitals, neuropsychiatric hospitals.
Can you go to 2 on the same page? The chairman and members of the board other than ex-official members shall be appointed by the president.
The 2.
Are you now seeking, this is composition of the board, not how the appointment it is, how appointment is done.
Establishment of the board of management of
membership, you're saying membership. There should be another column to take care of appointments.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I think what he's trying to explain with regard to 3P as per the committee presentation is that they just remove the word chief medical director and replace it with medical director in B. In the composition of the board.
I thought the ideal way of reporting is now it's on another thought. You don't blame the secretariat if you go to say, okay, take this for instance, membership of the board, and they take just B.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
It's a mistake. You're supposed to replicate all and then alongside with the amendment. I don't know whether this is something with the 2 here, because if you are retaining the first portion of it, because what is here now, the first clause 1 is that you are only recommending the 2, and then you are deleting the remaining, or you are expunging. That is the meaning of what the import of what they have done here. Huh? No, I'm saying, look at, for instance, establishment of the Federal Medical Board. You have 1, 2, but what you have now here is, I don't know which one you retain, you just say 2, and you now give the distance. I've also given, I'm just referring you to the first amendment where consideration we did.
Okay.
Yes, Secretary have to do a lot of work.
Okay,
thank you. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Mr. Chairman, in a similar vein, I want to move that section 19 and 20 be also expunged from this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Seconder. Yes, sir. Comrade Chinedu.
Right, Honorable Chairman, Honorable colleagues, Honorable Comrade Chinedu Oga Owen, I represent Asa Federal Constituency. I'm from Ebonyi State. Mr. Chairman, I rise to second the motion that items number 19 and 20 should be expunged. I hereby second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. 21, 22, 23, 24. 25, 26, 27, 28, schedules, explanatory memoranda, long title. The third report to consider is for Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish Federal Medical Center, Bonny, River State, and for related matters. Now I invite Mr. Honor Pascal to give some sort of report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, my noble colleagues. Mr. Chairman, I still remain Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigoziobi, member representing Idata North, Idata South Federal Constituency. I'm from Imo State. Mr. Chairman, I rise this afternoon to move that the House also considers the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish the Federal Medical Center, Bonny, River State, and for related matters, and approve the recommendations therein. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, my noble colleagues, I so move.
Plus one.
Mr. Chairman, I also move that the House expunges the sections 19 and 20 of this same bill.
What will get there, sir?
manner.
Plus one.
Carry.
Two. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. On this membership of the board, Mr. Chairman, if you look at G, it says a representative of the president. Which president? When you have the Minister of Health on the board, excuse me, sir, you can't have a representative of the president on a board the president appointed. All of the board members are representatives of the president on the board. The general overseer of this is the Minister of Health, who gives the general directives in the running affairs of the governing council or the institution, and is an appointee of the president. So what does the president require another representative on the board? What about the chairman of the board? I think we should look into it, Mr. Chairman. It's just to delete it.
Hello?
It will affect the rest of the bills, because I've just noticed that most of the bills that are presented, they have the representative of the president on the board.
That's G. Okay. Mr. Chairman, let me move. Mr. Chairman, I'm Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigoziobi. I want to move that paragraph G of section 3 of this bill be expunged. Mr. Chairman, I so move. I also going to get this.
We have this in the other two. We have
Seconder.
the other ones.
Yes. Honorable Manu.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleagues. I am Surmanu Soro, Daughters of Gambia Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion, bringing forth that item G should be expunged in all the 4 bills that the House has taken at the Committee of the Whole. I so second.
Those in favor say aye. Against
Chairman,
any? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, again, another observation on the same section, that item N, one person to represent public interest. Can the chairman kindly expatiate what is actually the relevance of this, and who is that person?
Yes. Hello? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in almost all the federal medical centers and teaching hospitals, there is always a provision for representative of the public interest in the board. Yes, all the existing federal medical centers and teaching
But
hospitals.
if I may ask you in your oversight, is it effective? Do we have that representative?
Do we have
that representative in the various councils?
Yes,
that
yes, it is. It is.
How are they? How are they selected?
We have consistently interacted with the board chairman and even the boards of these institutions.
I'm asking, how are they elected? How are they selected?
How are they selected?
Yes, sir.
They are selected by the president during appointment of the board.
No, you cannot have somebody elected on that. We can only have president, or minister, and appointees. If it is popular, it means then it's going to be subjected to another module of now selection, either traditional rulers or community or something like that. When you say public interest, it will mean now stakeholders.
Mr. Chairman, we have always interfaced with the board, but we are never there when the boards are being constituted.
Honorable Pascal, please go. I am not willing to argue further with you, but as far as I'm concerned, if we have been passing this kind of laws, you know it's not implementable.
Okay. So do we expunge? Let's okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, and Mr.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I was chairman of health in the 8th Assembly. That provision there takes care of the host community, local community where the institution is domiciled. So when the president is making appointments to the board, there's always someone representing host community where the particular institution is domiciled. That's that particular, the locality, that's that provision there, sir.
Thank you.
That's why it says public interest. In the interest of the public, the host immediate community that where this institution is domiciled.
There's need to catch that one, because even within the host community, the youth, if they are aware of this, there will be agitation. Maybe traditional rulers, there will be agitation. So you need to bring out a particular module that can take care of the various interests, maybe through community associations, something like that. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, let me give you an example. The Federal Medical Center, Owerri, over the years, the Eze, the traditional ruler of Owerri, Jise, usually sends his nominee to represent this particular interest.
Then we should say representative for Eze.
So I don't know how this they do, but this is what I found out over the years. There's always a representation from the host community. If we expunge this now, it's going to create a problem, because the host community is already aware that at the point of the setting up of the board, they always send a representation, possibly through the traditional ruler, like in the case of FMC or Owerri.
Okay. 4, 5, 6. 7, 9, 11, 12, 13. Carried. Yes, Gimbia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 15.1. The medical center may accept gifts of land, money, or other property on such terms and conditions, if any, as may be specified by the person or organization making the gift. Mr. Chairman, this is a medical center, and the gifts, the items here have been restricted. What about drugs? Can't the medical center accept gift of drugs? Drugs are not property.
Where are you looking at, Gimbia? I have a different question.
It's not dissented.
But this is also very dangerous for us. If they are the person who is giving the gift is the one to specify, will it always be on the overall interest of this nation?
Chair, the specification here is not about the usage. The donor is specifying exactly what he or she is donating. If it is drugs, the person will say drugs. So that we don't get it wrong in the context of usage. No, sir. It's in the context of, this is what I'm bringing to you. If it is drugs, I will specify it's drugs. If it's other consumables, the person will specify that it's other consumables and possibly mention the name of brands. That's what that clause, that provision there is explaining.
And Mr. Chairman, the second clause takes care of any kind of condition which is not consistent with the functions of the center. The second clause really qualifies the gift and determines whether the gifts can be accepted, or any kind of gift, whether it can be accepted or not can be accepted.
And we have other rules within the public service, like the code of conduct, SPC, and that now specify what kind of gift. Not they are not the one to dictate. Those other laws are there guiding. So this law is supposed to be inconsistent with those other provisions as to manners and how gift can be accepted.
Mr. Chairman, that is why there is this clause 2.
Okay.
Clause 2 is in reference of other existing laws elsewhere that governs acceptance of gift in public institutions. And once it is not consistent with this act, if you go back, you will see the functions of the medical center.
Mm-hmm.
You will see.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
15?
Yes, this is the chairman. I just need further clarification because when they said this federal teaching hospital may accept gift of land and money, that's my concern. How do they account for the money when they receive it? With the use of TSA?
Mr. Chairman, still clause 2.
No.
Clause 2 will have to determine whether the gift gift will be accepted or not.
It's not a question of whether to accept or not, whether it is right by law to accept money. That's the question.
Mr. Chairman.
No, you could accept money. And let me.
You can put money here.
You could. It's possible. NGOs and other agencies will come.
That's what I want to explain. NGOs.
How?
NGOs have built wards. Procured the equipment
Wait.
for the teaching hospitals.
I have been in the committee of donor agencies. There are procedures where international donor funds will give money, and in most cases, they don't give cash.
That is
and
why.
they pass it through the National Planning Commission.
That is why two have captured, and I think we are covered by that, sir. We are covered by that, sir. I believe in that, we are covered. Thank you. 15, 16, 17, 18.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigozie Obi. I represent Tidata South Federal Constituency. Mr. Chairman, I move that sections 19 and 20 of this bill for the establishment of Federal Medical Center in Ikpo be expunged accordingly.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Chike Okafor. I represent the member no Itubo Mabu Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion that items 19 and 20 be expunged accordingly.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. 21, 22, 23,
24, 26, 27, the schedules, explanatory memoranda. Is that the last? The full report will consider for the Committee on Health Institutions on a brief for an act to establish the Federal College of Health and Management Sciences, AMIBO, Imo State, to provide full-time courses, teaching instructions, and training of health management sciences, appliance sciences, and for matter. Now invite the passport to give synopsis of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, my noble colleagues. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigoziobi is my name. I represent the people of Idato North, Idato South Federal Constituency of Imo State. Mr. Chairman, I rise once again to move that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Health and Management Sciences, AMIBO, in Imo State, to provide full-time courses, teaching instructions and training in health, management sciences, applied sciences, and for related matters, HB 1420, and to approve the recommendations therein. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Not you are giving us synopsis. It's not you are not moving a motion at this stage. You are just giving us synopsis.
Okay. Okay. I finished. I'm not going to go
in. Plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, 11. Let's look at it with an eagle eye, Mr. Chairman. The Deputy Provost, there shall be for the college 2 Deputy Provosts, namely Deputy Provost Academic and Deputy Provost Administration. 2, the council shall appoint the Deputy Provost from among the chief lecturers in the college in one of the following ways. Mr. Chairman, in one of the following ways, look at C. So in a situation whereby the provost single-handedly will appoint a deputy provost in order to avoid nepotism or some crisis within the college, I think we should subject that to the selection board alone. Because down there, you see the membership of the selection board, that is also the provost.
And in that selection board is covered by the Act of 1992, the amendment that was done.
Further clarification, please, on this. If you look at C, Mr. Chairman, where B, they say on the recommendation of the selection board. So if the board is not in existence, because there are times when an institution will operate without a board for one reason or another. Maybe
the selection board in the academic environment is different. It's normally made of senior chief lecturers.
The selection board are usually, the composition is done by the boards.
Chairman,
it's not by the leadership.
Mr. Chairman,
selection boards are made.
On Babangida, I belong to that system. So I'm aware and I know what I'm saying. There is an existing law, 1992, and I'm referring to it. There's a procedure for putting that in their couch. It was signed under Babangida regime.
So who select the selection board?
It is stipulated. It is stated.
Mr. Chairman, I think he's mixing the two things.
Say O.
He said O. He said O. I think there should not be an alternative.
No, there's no alternative.
Yes.
There's no alternative.
Yes. That's not. It should be the selection board. Own person?
This is an academic.
It's an academic
Sir,
institution.
sir, let me say, this is an academic environment. In the selection board, it's defined as to who is going to be a member. Among them, chief lecturers, they have the representative of staff and council, academic board, and they are there. So they are the ones to do the election. It's not everybody that is going to do even the election. That's why the provost cannot have that right. It's like you're making a sole administrator. It's an academic environment. In the absence of, in any academic environment, if this one is not satisfied, normally the librarian is the one that acts. To do that. Yes, sir.
I still want to also look at it again. Let's look at it again. This clause is giving us three options via which the deputy provost can be appointed. One is from a list of 5 candidates, and it says in order of preference. Now, 2 says on the recommendation of a selection board. Then the third one, the C is a third option, which is available for the possible appointment of deputy provost. So, from A to B to C, these are options. And that last option is saying on the nomination of the provost. That is the last option.
That's why I tell you, we are not here for rigidity, but conforming with the normal and good standard. In any academic environment, you can find a VC appointing his own deputy vice chancellor.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman. No.
Well, let's go.
Mr. Chairman, if you look at 3, I raise a question. Who appoints the selection boards?
In the absence, I didn't mention earlier one was asking for the amendment, or the other one I mentioned. In the absence of council, it is the management that sits, and then on recommendation to send the request to the minister. It is not never done. It's an academic environment. There's no way one person would be allowed to. Go and check, and I will find the relevant way for tomorrow, so that we all get used to it. It's not so.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to move that item section C, section 2C, which on nomination of the provost. I want to move that section 2C be expunged from this bill. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. My name is Ugono Sipa from Imo State. Mr. Chairman, I second the motion as moved by the chairman health institution that section 2C should respond from.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Against say nay. 11 as amended. 12, 13, 15, 16. Clerk, you please try and check that law is contained in the Education Tax Fund that was 1992. It's in the act there. The one establishing principal officers of all tertiary institutions. It's 1992 Gazette, which automatically is an act. It's good. 12. Sorry, I think it's my own 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Explanatory memoranda. Can somebody move for the decision of the other earlier on those other 2 clauses? that were left so that we have a clean bill on the first two that we considered, 19 and 20, I guess, for decision of those decisions there. Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to move that in the previous two bills, the two that we are considered, that's the bill for the establishment of Alex Ekweme University Teaching Hospital and the bill for the establishment of Federal Medical Center Amagu. I want to move that sections 19 and 20 of those bills be expunged accordingly. Mr. Chairman,
With the student addition and then expunging them, yes, sir. Barrister, you have been raising your hand, so.
I second for the expansion of section 19 and 20 of the two bills. I so second.
You know, that's the problem with PDP. You are here and then your mind is somewhere. You don't have peace of mind. Those people with the motion say aye. I can't say nay. So, we assume we have taken the right direction. Yes, we move that we revert to plan to report progress.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, I am Mohammed Tahir Munguno. I represent Marche Munguno Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I move that the House do revert to plenary to report progress.
Why did you buy this one? Seconder, I don't know, Sada. That is not your seat. And it's not your portion. The seat there is not for you, and it's not your portion. They have already come. Okay. Thank you. I know. Second motion. Second motion.
Mr. Chairman, I rise to second the motion ably moved. I so second, Mr. Chairman.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against any. That's have it. House is hereby participating to report progress.
Excuse me. Sit down now, sit down. Chike, wait, let's. Pascal,
they have not.
No, let's conclude.
Let's.
Respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish Alex Ekweme Federal Teaching Hospital, Abakalaki, Ebonyi State, and for them matters and approve clauses 1, 2, clauses 3 as amended, expunging clauses 19 and 20, approve clauses 21 to 28, the long title and the explanatory memoranda of the report. The House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal Medical Center, Amagu, Iko, Ebonyi State, and for them matters, and approve clauses 1, 2, clauses 3 as amended, explanatory memoranda 19, 20, approve clauses 21 and 28, the long title and the explanatory memoranda of the report. The House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Health Institution on the bill for an act to establish Federal Medical Center, Boni, River State, and for these matters, approve clauses 1, 2, clauses 3 as amended, expunging clauses 19 and 20, approve clauses 21 to 28, and the long title and explanatory of the report. The House and the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish federal quality of health and management sciences at Miagbo, Imo State, and to provide full courses, teaching, instructions, and training in health management sciences, applied sciences, and for the matter, approved clauses 1 to 10, clauses 11 as amended, approved clauses 12 to 24, the long title, and the explanatory memoranda of the report. Move for the adoption of the report.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Munguno. I represent Martin Munguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I move that the House do adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Chike Okafo. I represent a member no Hituba. I rise to second the motion that the House should please support accordingly. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Move for the adjournment of the House to tomorrow, 11 a.m.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Munguno. I represent Martin Munguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I hereby move that the House do adjourn to tomorrow, the 16th day of March. Tomorrow, 17th day of March, 2022 by 11 a.m. Thank you.
His bank account is full, so he may not be concerned about the schedule of the dates. The boss. There's somebody called the boss.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Mudala Umar. I represent the Federal Constituency. I rise to second that the House do adjourn till tomorrow, 11 a.m. I so second, sir.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's it. Colleagues, I still want to remind those of us that are still in the chambers that we will have meeting of APC caucus, and those who are also eager to join us can also join us. I believe, Honorable Barrister. Yes, you are very much invited. The space is very much wide open. Thank you. House is hereby adjourned to tomorrow, 11 a.m.